Hello and welcome to episode 31 of Around the Lens. I'm your host, David J. Murphy, a photojournalist, broadcaster, visual journalist with about 16 years experience in the field. And I'm currently out of Biloxi, Mississippi.
And I'm your co-host, Zach D. Roberts. I'm a photojournalist who works in Alaska and in New York. I'm currently calling in from Provincetown, Massachusetts, but I've worked for the BBC, Guardian, and currently working on a documentary called The Best Democracy Money Can Buy.
Provincetown, Massachusetts, you said?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, what are you doing over there?
My family comes out here every year, so.
Oh, cool. So you're hanging with family?
Yep.
Nice, nice. Hope everybody's getting along well, I hope. It's family.
I might be covering Caitlyn Jenner later in the week, so that'll be interesting.
Ooh, nice.
Sounds
You
like
can hang
fun.
with family and cover Caitlyn Jenner. That's great. All right, well, let's get on with the show. What is this show? If you're just listening for the first time, Around the Lens is a live weekly visual journalism roundtable show airing every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Even though I'm in Central Time, I kept the show at the same time starting because I love you as an audience. I want to make sure you have the same time. Like I established 8:30 p.m. on Mondays, and we're going to keep it that way unless I move someplace with a radically different time zone. Anyways, moving on. What are we? We are a broadcasting. We are a show that features experts in the world of visual journalism, gathering to discuss news topics and gear related to our career field. We focus primarily on photojournalism and documentary filmmaking. You can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram, subscribe to the podcast, which this is, via iTunes or Google Play or your podcatcher of choice. And finally, if you'd like to support the show financially and get early access to our bonus topics, drop us $1 over at Patreon, and you can find links to all that stuff at our website, www.aroundthelens.com. So we're recording this June 27th, 2016, and our panelists this week are Matt Odom and Deniel Shular. Guys, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves to our audience?
Well, I'm Matt Odom, and I am a commercial photographer. I am out of Macon, Georgia. Anyone who wants to know what Macon is, if you look right smack dead in the middle of Georgia, I'm right smack dead in the middle, right just below Atlanta. I've been
Smack Dad.
Smack Dad. Yep, you can tell I'm country. I have been doing photography 8 years, and I've been doing it 3 full-time, and I'm excited to be here.
Okay, glad to have you, Matt. Daniel?
I'm Deniel Shular. I've been a photographer for about 6 years. I've only been doing photojournalism for the past 2 years. I do a lot of commercial photography. Right now I'm in Washington, Missouri, but I work all over the place. I just covered some events for the election out in California, and I'm heading to Cleveland in a couple weeks.
I'll see you there.
What's going on in Cleveland, I wonder? Is that the Republican National Convention or the Democrat National Convention?
The Republican.
Okay. Are you going to be inside or are you going to be outside?
I'm going to be outside. I did not get approved to shoot inside.
Oh, Zach, did you get approved to shoot inside?
I did get inside, yes. I had 2 different applications. My personal one got denied. The production crew that I'll be leading there, though, for the documentary we're working on, did get accepted for some reason, even though my credentials were considerably more like who I was working, everything I was doing. Should have got accepted, and the production crew should have got denied. But oh well. I got it. I'm getting in either way. I get to pick up my passes the Sunday beforehand, so I'm very excited. Even though probably a lot of the I don't know. It'll be interesting if they try to throw something under Trump. It might be interesting inside, but outside is it's going to be fun. I mean.
Yeah, I've been hearing about different pundits and people talking about this and saying, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Trump, there's nothing they're going to do. Trump's going to get the nomination. It's a foregone conclusion at this point. So Anyways, we'll save all that for Polititalk, our imaginary politics podcast, which you know what? We should probably start considering how much we talk about politics. But
That could be the new bonus content.
Bonus content. Listen to Zach rant for 15 minutes, and the other people that are on the show just stand by and wait for their turn, and then it never happens because the show is over.
Right there. And that was Polititalk with Zach Roberts. It's like next week when my guess will be doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get on with the show. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Starting with our first topic this evening, news of the week, protecting our gear from damage. So if you were been watching the viral photos and videos and info that's come out, there was a petapixel story about American Airlines flight baggage handling crew that dropped this photographer's gear. And what ended up happening is it was in a Pelican case. So, I mean, it was in the best possible case you could think of to store gear. But even though Pelican cases are strong, I guess when they dropped from 7 to 8 feet, which is what they say it dropped in the story, it didn't completely protect the equipment because the Pelican case popped open and the lenses and camera bodies apparently fell out. And, you know, there's just... You know, what was saddened me most about the story was just sort of the lack of empathy on the part of, you know, American Airlines or the baggage handling crew. It was just basically like, you know, they were like, hey, whose lenses are these? Lenses, here you go. And it was just sad because, you know, I think, like, I've always traveled with my photo gear whenever I've gone anywhere. I'll stuff it into a camera bag so that I can carry it with me on the plane or at least stow it up in the overhead compartment. I don't normally travel with a Pelican case, but if I do, I still am keeping like the cameras on my person the whole time, the cameras and the lenses. And you know, he said in the story that was $20,000 worth of camera equipment potentially could have been damaged or broken. But I can tell you right now, considering like, you know, depending on what level you are at, that's not a lot of camera gear. That can be like, you know, 2 bodies and a couple lenses really. And, you know, you throw in accessories and stuff. So, I mean, again, if it were me, I would have the camera bodies in a camera bag, backpack on me, and throw all the accessories and everything else that's, you know, cheaper or replaceable into a Pelican case. But that's not how he traveled, and apparently it was never an issue before, but it was now an issue with American Airlines. So let me get your guys' takes on this. You know, you've probably traveled with your camera gear. How do you handle it? How do you get it through the process of traveling and ensure its safety? Matt, why don't you go ahead and start?
Well, typically when I travel, when I do have to fly, I use a think tank. And I'm kind of like you. I have another bag that I have for like carrying things. So I'll put my camera bodies on me or either with my assistant. And sometimes I might put lenses that I don't use all the time. I'll let them check those. But the ones that I know I'm going to use, you know, worst case scenario, in case something happens, I at least know that I have, you know, my good lenses with me in my bodies. That's the, you know, hearing about these stories is sad because that's the main reason why photographers fear getting on planes, because people just don't handle the gear with respect.
How about you, Daniel? How do you travel with your gear?
Usually I have an f-stop Satori bag, so it's pretty much the biggest size backpack you can take onto an airplane.
Okay.
And it fits all of my gear. I'll check all my luggage because I'd rather have my gear make it than I'd rather lose my clothes than my photography gear.
Yeah.
Right. That's also another reason not to check your gear because it could get lost.
Yeah, and there's something that you can get from the TSA that has a rule that photographers can carry their gear on planes.
Yeah.
I've heard about it. I tried looking it up whenever you sent me the notes. I couldn't find it, but they're supposed to let you keep it on there if that's your profession.
I think I've heard that rule as well. I couldn't pull up the letter, but I'm sure some Googling. You know,
I've read about it before. The problem is that it's always up to the person at the gate, and so I've tried to claim that before. I mean, like where I'm allowed to, like this is ridiculous or whatever. And they're like, well, you have all that they told me, and she told me in the most rude way possible, and told me it repeatedly because that's the way they often work, and they're extremely high stress. I would. There's a reason I wouldn't never do that job in a million years. There's a reason I don't work in food service. That's another thing because I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather get paid less than never do it. Exactly. I've worked in retail. I'll never do it again as long as I can at least help it. As I always joke, I'll shoot weddings before I do that. I just hate shooting weddings. But the big thing is that what I was told was, well, you have two choices. Either you can check that bag, or you can stay at the airport. And those are the two only options she gave me. And I was like, okay. Pulled out all the lenses out of my bag, threw it in the one backpack that I was allowed to bring on, put one in my pocket. Luckily, I had like a pea coat because it was winter. And and that's the way I got on the plane. The cameras hanging around my neck and everything like that, and it was completely ridiculous. My assumption about this incident, though, is I would bet that because I've worked with Pelican cases before, I've had them before. I don't see them busting open if they're properly closed under 7 to 8 feet. What my bet is that TSA gave it a looks over beforehand, and I've had that happen before. I had to ship an iMac, a 24-inch iMac in a Pelican case once, from Syracuse, New York to Anchorage, Alaska, and the case was opened and it was like shoved back in and everything like that, and you got that little TSA note in there. I would bet that if it didn't fly out, he'll find a TSA note on the inside. Maybe that's not reported or something like that, because they don't. For some reason, the TSA doesn't know how to possibly close a Pelican case, because I've had that happen and I've heard other people have it happen.
So you think the Pelican case didn't break? It actually popped open.
I think it popped open. I don't know how. I mean, look, these things are insured. I used to work at B&H. I've talked to the Pelican case people tons and tons of times, and these things are insured for two things. For everything. I'm sorry, for everything except two things: sharks and children under the age of 5. And I'm not kidding. That's actually in the informational sheet. Those are the two things that everything's insured for. So this guy should be able to have if the Pelican case did break, he should have a great case, pun intended, against Pelican or to Pelican to get his gear back or something like that. But like I said, I would bet that if you found the case, I would bet that it actually just popped open, that it wasn't properly double latched. I mean, it's really difficult sometimes if the pressure, basically because people don't know how to open that or close it back in if the pressure thing isn't closed. So that's my
guess. And if you're using Pelican cases, especially if you're going to check them at the airport, you got to lock those things up. I mean, they have padlock holes for a reason.
Yeah.
So if you had those and it did open, it wouldn't be an issue.
There's a secret that I found, and I don't know if it's true, but if you have a Pelican case or you're going to bring camera gear that you're assuming that you're going to sew, and I've heard it a couple of times, people recommended it, and a couple of people have tried it and it worked, is they recommend buying a gun. But specifically a starter pistol, and because what you have to do is you declare it before you come into the airport, basically declare it. The TSA has to look at it with you present. They tape it. They look at the gun. They go whatever. You put the airsoft you put the starter pistol in with your camera gear. They tape it up with TSA thing. It will not be opened or looked at from the time that it leaves your possession and leaves TSA's possession till the time you pick it up. And supposedly that's the best way to do it. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if I want to walk into an airport with anything that even vaguely resembles a handgun. I don't know. What about you guys? Are you guys open to that idea?
I'm gonna try that with me.
You don't want to walk into Atlanta Airport with a handgun and go, "I got something."
No, I'm gonna let you go.
Well, you just if you do take the gun with you, at least have it with you when you go get that RNC protest. Defend yourself.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully this guy gets some sort of compensation from somebody for losing probably a couple lenses, or at least some damage there. But yeah, I mean, so you both, Daniel and Matt, you said you carry your equipment with you on the plane, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's honestly the way to go. And I think the guy intended to do that, but you know, they wouldn't let him do it. Probably too big. I've had some issues where I've had like multiple computers on me and multiple computer bags, and like I've exceeded the 2-bag carry-on limit, and they wanted to check my stuff. But I was like, I'm not letting you check my computer because no, that's too valuable. So hopefully this guy gets some love from American Airlines. Although if you read the story, it seems like he did everything due diligence with regard to reporting it, but then when he followed up with it, they're like, oh, we don't have any report that you actually did that. So make sure to always get a copy of whatever report they're filing in your name. But poor stuff. Like, hey, just out of curiosity, since both of you do commercial work, let's say your equipment was broken, as you're travel, whatever, you had to check your bags, your equipment was broken. What would you do when you got to your location? How would you resolve that? Would you just go to a store and buy new equipment? Do you have somebody? Do you know somebody? How would you handle that?
Daniel, you want to go first?
Sure. I'd probably try to find a store that would rent me equipment, and then make a claim on my insurance as soon as possible to try to get it replaced.
Yeah, I would pretty much do the same thing, and then I would probably invoice it right back. Make sure I keep a copy of that and send it right over to whatever airline it was, and let them, take care of that as well. I mean, at some point, hopefully this situation here is big enough to where to kind of start, garnering some attention to where people will start respecting photographers' gear. I mean, I've seen that a lot, and I know when I used to shoot wedding photography, and I used to talk to other wedding photographers, that was one of their biggest fears, is traveling and getting gear broke because they were just so reckless with it.
Right. Zach, how about you? How would you handle the situation?
Same deal. I mean, first thing I would just try. I mean, I'm lucky. I know a lot of people photographers in different towns. The show helps a lot, so maybe I could, borrow a couple pieces of equipment. But yeah, it'd have to be rental. I mean, I don't think I could. Unfortunately, I don't have the credit cards to drop even for temporary time to get some new equipment. The big thing is that if you read the comments on this thing, it's one of the most important things is I know so many people that like to show up to the airport at the last second, get on the plane, spend as little time as possible. My boss I work with, who's the on-camera talent, he loves to show up late, and I always get into screaming matches with him and be like, I carry all of this gear. I have to be the first possible person on the plane because I can't check any of this. You can just throw your luggage bag or whatever, that's fine. It doesn't matter to you. Show up early. Try to get on as early as possible so that you have the best chance that they're not going to ask you to check your luggage, because that's the biggest thing I fear when they're like, we have a small flight, please, if you can check your luggage, please do that.
You could just upgrade to first class or priority.
Oh, yeah, no, I could do that. Sure, yeah. No,
Wait, you don't fly first class everywhere, Zach? Come on.
Yeah.
That freelancer salary?
Well, I just put it on the Around the Lens, credit card account. Don't your card.
We have a credit card account? That's news to me.
What, you didn't get the credit card from American Express? We got a black one, so it's it's whatever we want to spend.
Nice, I like it. Yeah, I'd probably be. I would just probably go to wherever store and buy something on a credit card and hopefully return it before I have to pay it off if I were doing a shoot or something like that. And I watched some YouTubers. There's this one guy, if you've maybe heard of him, Casey Neistat. He does a video like every single day. It's crazy. And he just goes through camera equipment like it's nothing. I was watching one episode where he had a drone graveyard because he's destroyed so many drones doing his blog or whatever, his vlog. And he had like 4 drones that had been just destroyed. And man, I wish I had that kind of expendable income. Let me tell you.
He's sponsored by Google, so
yeah.
He's one of their 5 to 10 creators that they actually pay him I'm pretty sure at least as opposed to just the normal. Oh, you got 1 million views, so you get $200.
Right. Well, he's got 4 million subscribers, so yeah, probably. He can go through that, no problem. All right, well, let's
DJI
go
sends
ahead.
them drones to give away all the time.
Yeah.
Does it? Do they?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Hey, DJI, if you're watching this show, I will gladly take drones from you and keep them for myself. All right. Well, talking about YouTube, let's talk about the internet, and let's talk about hashtags. In our general topic of the week, hashtags are very important if you are trying to make sure you're aware and active on social media. We have an Instagram account, we have a Facebook page, we have Twitter, all the major players, and we have to use hashtags to, I guess, make our stuff more visible. But are we using them properly? What is the best way to use hashtags? So I throw it out to you guys. How about you, Daniel? Do you have any sort of social media presence, and are you using hashtags to help promote your work?
I always use hashtags on Instagram. I have my notes on my phone. I have different lists for different types of pictures that I'm going to put up.
Okay.
And I just have 30 hashtags that I think will work with whatever picture I'm putting up.
30 hashtags?
Yeah, because that's the limit, technically.
Oh, okay. Really? I didn't know there was a limit.
Yeah.
Learn something new myself.
So what happens after 30? Because you have a 10,000 character count or word count limit on Instagram, right? Or Twitter?
Twitter's only 140. I don't.
Yeah, but
know
don't
what,
you get like free ads and free links and stuff like that? Doesn't count towards your 140? Did they come out with that new rule recently?
I don't know. I don't share a lot of my work through Instagram. I share a lot of news stories through Instagram, but.
Okay, but you can only do 30
Twitter.
hashtags. So you can only do 30 hashtags on Instagram.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you fill that thing up?
Yeah, every time.
Oh my
Just
gosh.
whatever I think. Like I have one just for. I made one for the presidential campaign. I have one for any of my like general photojournalism stuff, and then I have like other ones for like landscape and portraits.
Jeez. So how does that help you? Like, how does that help promote your work? Why use hashtags? What do they do?
It just seems to get more likes and more follows whenever I put up stuff like that.
And have you tried not putting hashtags to see like what the difference would be, or is it just from experience?
It really picked up when I started using them, and lately my Instagram actually is getting a lot less traction after the new update.
Oh, okay, because they changed the timeline thing?
But usually I put like a comment in there about like link to or check out my bio to see my website or my blog, and I usually get a lot of traffic on days where I post 1 or 2 pictures and use hashtags and get a lot of likes, and a lot of them turn into actual visitors to my website.
Okay. So I'm looking at some of your hashtags right now because I found your Instagram page. Force X Quit.
Yeah.
Is that right? So you got FBF. What's that mean?
Oh, that was like a flashback Friday. I was just doing that because I wanted to put something up this week because I haven't been doing a lot this week.
BLM. What's BLM?
Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
So that was one of my Ferguson pictures from 2014.
Is STL St. Louis, I presume? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. 5D Mark III. Another Canon user. I like it. Looking forward to that 5D Mark IV whenever that might come out.
Definitely. I would love to buy it or pre-order it.
Oh my gosh. Hey, we gotta get Canon to sponsor the show and hook us up with some cameras. I'd love to have anybody sponsor the show. Anyways, okay, cool. What about any other social media? You do use hashtags on any other platforms? I know you can. I think you can use it on Facebook and Twitter as well.
I don't really do it on Facebook, but I did it on Twitter for a while. Especially like if I'm in the middle of a protest or something, that gets a lot of traffic that I normally wouldn't get. It gets a lot of people to retweet a lot of stuff I put out.
Oh yeah, it'd be like hashtag tough to breathe, hashtag smoke, hashtag what is it? Tear gas.
Yeah, those work pretty well.
Yeah. All right, Matt. How about you? How do you use hashtags in your media, social media, or do you use social media?
Yeah, I do. I use Instagram, Tumblr. I have a Periscope account, but I just hadn't used it as much as I should. And believe
Well,
it or not,
Facebook Live. I mean, why do you even need to use?
and that's exactly. I like Facebook Live much better anyway. You know, me personally, because I have a pretty decent Facebook following. But I was actually a late bloomer to Instagram. I didn't get on Instagram until well, I've been on there for a while, but I didn't get active until probably the middle part of last year.
Okay.
And I kind of learned the trick with hashtags was that just kind of hashtag whatever is relevant to what you're putting up, and then you can actually hashtag and type in the word, and you'll see how many people that hashtag would kind of center around, and it kind of worked out for me. Yeah, if you like type in hashtag photographer, and you'll kind of see how many people that are kind of wrap around it and kind of affect. And so that's kind of how I started kind of getting my Instagram followers a little bit, And I did a hashtag 5DSR, which was nuts. I had just bought the camera, and I said, well, I'll just take a picture of the strap and throw it up on the and I hashtag 5DSR, and I got almost 700 likes on that photo.
Wow.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
absolute madness. I was just like, you got to be kidding me, man. Hashtag 5DSR. I guess everybody was looking for something with the 5DSR or whatever, and all of a sudden it just exploded. And another one is, I did a fashion shoot for a magazine here, and I did hashtag fashion, and I mean I get at least one like a hour on that one photo. It just keeps going on, and on. So, I mean, I love it. Now I'm not as hashtag crazy as Daniel. I hadn't reached 30 the hashtag limit, but I'll at least put about 10, 15. So.
Yeah, I see here on one of your latest pictures you only have 10. But you know what you can do now? I noticed you have some emojis. You can actually hashtag emojis.
Oh, I didn't know that. Look at that. Look at Zach.
Daniel's like, ooh, yes. How many of those can I get? So you got a smiley face, a photo, and a sunset.
This is exactly the conversation that I dreamed of when I was like 11 years old and got my first camera and was looking at Robert Capa photos and Sebastião Salgado photos. All I can think of is how important are emoji is going to be to making sure that people see my work. That's what I was really thinking about back in 1991 or in '92.
Oh, Canon actually commented on your picture of the camera strap.
Yeah, that was nuts. I was like, I don't believe this.
I just got the, if you know, everybody pays attention to my Instagram, which hopefully you do, but anyways, I just got the Gyroptic 360 camera. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's actually a camera that I bid on Kickstarter. I invested in on Kickstarter like 2 years ago, and it finally got here. And I posted a picture of the box because I was really excited, and I put all the relevant hashtags, and I think I marked Gyroptic, the company, so they would know I posted it, and they responded and said, "All right, share your stuff with us." So it's nice. I mean, it's cool to see a company sort of engaging with the users stuff like that. I wonder if the guy who lost his gear hashtagged or at American Airlines, and Pelican, see if how that would help him out. Zach, what do you think we should do with our page for hashtags? Where's some hashtag ideas?
God.
I'm getting some right now. First of all, I'm going to find 30 relevant hashtags and throw it on every single post.
I always the ones that I actually see that people either comment on or I don't know. I always do things like hashtag the gear, hashtag Nikon, hashtag maybe the lens if I can figure out how to explain it. If it's a Sigma, I do hashtag. But the other ones are like things like hashtag real camera, or if it's a film scan, occasionally if I'll do that, it'll be like the film type or something like that. That I see. Like a lot of friends of mine have a lot more success. My Instagram never seems to pick up anything. I do it mainly, I don't know why, just because I guess you have to. For mine, it's amazing. It's the thing that's depressing is that since I've been shooting so much conservative politics, and it's been like hashtag Cruz, hashtag Trump or whatever, all the Trump hashtags do really, really well. The Trump supporters and also I covered at the NRA convention. The the gun lobby and the gun manufacturers seem to love Instagram as well. So I get all of those people picking up, and then the next couple photos I'll cover a burning event, or I'll just do my personal, like whatever, and then those people either comment and make some terrible remark, or immediately disappear and never come back again. So one of the problems I think with photojournalism is the fact that it's unless you do just news and you're doing such a wide array of things, and even especially if I would assume it helps if you have some sort of continual outlet attachment like NBC or something like that. I find it increasingly difficult. I mean, I'm amazed. Like Scott Olson, Getty photographer, has barely any followers on it and doesn't get a lot of likes or whatever, and he's like one of the best wire photographers working today. So it's interesting. I mean, I guess I'll have to start building lists like you, Daniel, of the hashtags. I don't know if I have that level of commitment to it, though. I mean, the one thing I do is, because I also feed it out to Twitter or whatever else, if it's a Donald Trump photo, I make sure that I do at Donald, at what is it, at real Donald Trump, or whatever the hell his Twitter is. I'll make sure I try to do that. And then on Facebook, I don't do hashtags that often, but I make sure that if it's possible, if I photographed anyone that's relevant, I make sure that I tag them in it, because it's amazing. On Facebook, that's actually where I see a massive difference. Like I posted a video that I edited of Rosario Dawson, and you tagged her on it, and I think that she ended up sharing it, so it got like, I think 80,000 views or something like that. So that's kind of the only way I ever seen those things work for me, at least. But
All right. Well, I definitely learned something about hashtagging tonight, and I'm going to make sure I really do that. Like, I would try to tag people in sort of the posts that we do about the show, but sometimes it's not obvious or not easy to find people's Instagrams, like through Instagram. Like, Matt, you were easy because it's Matt Photo is your Instagram handle. Daniel, unfortunately, I did not know your Instagram handle was ForceXSquit. So I put in Deniel Shular, and probably some guy is wondering why he's tagged in a photograph about a podcast, but I'll fix that later, I promise. All right, so yeah, hashtags, I tell you, got to get on them. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our last topic of the evening, unless anybody else has anything they'd like to add about hashtags or the importance of hashtags. All right, well, moving on, our Gear Talk segment this week. And I was going to talk about we're going to talk about the Hasselblad. It's a game changer, 50 megapixel camera, and the mirrorless, I should say. But isn't the 5DSR, 5DR, whatever you have, Matt, a 50 megapixel camera? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it is a 50 megapixel camera. And
so, I mean, that cost what? How much did that cost? I know it was expensive, but how much was it when you got it?
Shipping and everything, it was right at about $4,000.
So we got a $4,000. So we got a $4,000 50 megapixel camera. Now Hasselblad is coming out with this $9,000 for the base camera, $11,000 with a lens. Does this intrigue any of you guys? I mean, you guys do commercial work. As a photojournalist, I would never be able to want to afford this or use it in my work, but you guys do more commercial work. Does this camera interest either of you?
It doesn't. It does nothing for me, and that's not. And I'm not saying that just because I bought the 5DSR. It's just that I mean, if I want to spend that kind of money, I can go get a Pentax. I mean, it's just really, it's kind of like me and Daniel were talking earlier before we came on. It's like he said, you're pretty much just paying for the name. Also, one thing that a lot of people are not saying right now is that you got to wait until the find out what bugs are gonna come out of this. What kind of knickknacks are people gonna run into? I think when the Sony A7R came out, everybody was complaining about they had shutter issues, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, you don't know what kind of shutter issues you're gonna run into with the mirrorless medium format camera. So lens support. I mean, it's a whole lot of variables there that need to be worked out before anybody can really even take this serious. But of course, somebody's gonna have the gear lust, and they're gonna buy it. I mean, we'll people are gonna drop money on it just to say I've got a mirrorless camera. But I just think that a lot of photographers just need to kind of sit back, take a long, hard look, and see if this is actually even worth the investment. I mean, you got, I'm not even a Nikon shooter, but you got the, what is it, 810. The 810 is putting, quality, of that of medium format. So I mean, it's just really down to what is your need and what do you need it for. I shoot, of course, a lot of commercial work, and I shoot a lot of architecture, which was the main reason why I bought a 5DSR. Is more or less I shoot a lot of architecture work that I just kind of need that extra bit of sharpness on, and so it works out well for me. And I just when I saw it announced last week, I just wasn't impressed by it, and I kind of just like whatever, and just kind of moved on from it. I don't see it really being that big of a game changer for me personally.
Do you think it's too expensive? That's why, or is it just there are already 50 megapixel cameras out there, so it's not that impressive?
And that's it. Is that I just think you've already got enough options out there, and I know somebody's going to be listening to this, and they're going to go, well, Matt, it's smaller. You don't have that bulky camera to carry around. You ever carry around a medium format camera? It's heavy, and it's cheaper. But I mean, you don't know what you're getting right now. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like with the A7R. I almost bought an A7R, and I just waited, and I just kind of looked at all the variables, and just decided I just was better off just sticking with my Canon since I had already had that gear. Just stuck with it, and I hadn't missed a beat.
Yeah, so it's like me. I mean, I'm waiting for the Canon 5D Mark IV. I've got 5D Mark II and all the glass and stuff, but I don't want to have to invest in new glass or like I'm going towards Micro Four Thirds and having to use an adapter to use my glass. I'd rather just use it on a standard Canon body. How about you, Daniel? What do you think of this camera? Does it do anything for you?
Not for me, really. I can see someone who was doing some studio work that wanted, a billboard size printout of their picture, maybe. But then if someone's doing that, they're already shooting with the regular size medium format Hasselblad or something like that. And that shoots 100 megapixels plus. So there's not a real reason for anyone to really buy it.
It's an interesting market, I would say. Yeah.
I think if they made it like film, gave it a different look, like shooting with a medium format film camera, because I use a Pentax 67 sometimes, and that has a look that my 35mm film won't do, and that none of my other cameras will do. But I mean, I wouldn't pay that much money just to have a look on my pictures. But
now you say you both have mentioned Pentax. Are you talking about Pentax film medium format or Pentax like digital medium format?
I'm talking about film.
Yeah, I was talking about digital.
Okay.
What is? Yeah, I forget what the name of their digital is. They have a photo of it down at the bottom. The 645D. Yeah. That's like
I've got
what,
the 645.
15,000 or something?
No, it's actually it's either 6,000 or 8,000.
Oh, really? It's that cheap? Cool. Well, I mean, cheap.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, you think medium format, you think studio, and if you think studio, it's like size isn't really that big of a factor with the camera body because it's in the studio. But I don't know. I guess there must be a market for medium format photographers who want to shoot like out in the open with lower weight equipment, I guess. But you're going to have to use an adapter to use anything but the two included lenses of the two lenses that are specifically made for the camera. So I don't know. Zach, what do you think about this camera?
I'm not. I mean, obviously the price point is just beyond anything that I would ever spend on a camera body. But what I'm excited about.
Car, man. Just get this.
Look, my car cost me $2,000. My camera here is more expensive than my car. I got a 2001 Chevy Malibu. It doesn't have air conditioning. So, but what I'm excited about is the movement in the tech. Whenever one of these crazy ass things come out, it's like, oh, would you buy it? And like, well, yeah, if I had the lotto winnings, I'd dig it. And if Hasselblad wanted to send me one, I'd definitely give it a try out. I'd love to play with it because it suddenly, medium format is suddenly vaguely usable for photojournalism work. I'll give it a try. I mean, I haven't looked at the specs too much to see if it's, what the ISO and stuff like that is. But, I mean, hell, if it shoots video, I'll take that. That would be pretty cool. I mean,
it only shoots 1080p video, which is like so disappointing. You think with a sensor that large,
I mean, the thing,
they'd be able to handle 4K.
I mean, 4K. I don't know enough about 4K, I guess, because I haven't shot with it to figure out what the difference is between a 4K sensor that is this tiny or a 1080p quality that's this big. I mean, there used to be a big difference between like the 1080p that I shoot on my cell phone versus the 1080p that I shoot on my DSLR. But either way, I mean that's the same thing with me with the difference between the 50 megapixels in any other 35 millimeter equivalent DSLR versus this is that it would be definitely interesting to see what the quality difference is, expanding it out and everything like that. But again, the biggest thing is the tech. I mean, suddenly they took what used to be this massive, overweight thing that I never really liked. I didn't like even with the few times I had a chance to shoot on the film Pentax cameras. I just didn't like the way that they felt. I couldn't shoot quick. I couldn't move around. I definitely didn't want to use it for photojournalism, but if I could throw an adapter on here and put my 17 to 35, or something, even if it's cropped, but if I could have, just a basic, 50 mil lens or something on this, this is a camera size-wise right now that I could use I would love to use to shoot something like, the convention or the inauguration in 9 months. You know how amazing that would be to shoot because of the access, just being able to shoot from like, 20 feet or 500 feet away from the president and being able to crop in and just being like, yeah, sure, right there. I mean, I'll take that. I mean, especially Trump rallies. You get 100 feet throw. I mean, if you've ever covered one, you know that you're thrown all the way to the back of the arena. I mean, just being able to crop in a little bit is always useful, even just for that sort of thing. I mean, but like I said, in 5 years, you're telling me we're not going to have medium format cameras that are the actual size. I mean, the comparison on petapixel is a little iffy, but the actual size of a Sony DSLR or Sony mirrorless, or even smaller. I mean,
I think in 5 years we're going to have medium format sensors in our phones.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll just be the entire camera. I mean, I don't understand.
I'm not even talking like the back camera. I'm talking the front camera. I want 50 megapixel selfies. That's how I roll.
And the other side will be IMAX size. It'll be the
1,000 megapixel. Petapixel. I want a petapixel camera.
The problem is that your data plan won't be changed by then. So, well, this is the one photo I'm sending this month.
Hey, I get unlimited data with AT&T, so I don't have to worry about it.
Good.
All right. Well, if this camera doesn't intrigue you, what camera is intriguing for you, Matt? What camera are you looking for in the future? Are you happy with what you got?
I'm satisfied with the 5DSR, although I will say that I use the 6D as my second body, my workhorse, and I'm actually just kind of waiting on the and I'm not sure if I've missed the boat. Either one of you guys can tell me, but I hadn't heard anything yet about the 5D Mark IV yet, so I'm kind of waiting to see how that looks. And I'll tell you, anybody who knows me knows I'm a cheapskate, man. I'll go get the 5D Mark III once that comes out at a lower price used, and I'm fine. Yeah. I'm good to go. So. But
I mean, you haven't missed the boat. You haven't missed the boat on anything. Everything I've heard about the Mark IV has been rumors. So there's rumors it might come out in August, but it's all rumor at this point.
Yeah.
Hope it comes out. Daniel, what about you? What are you shooting with, and what do you want with?
Right now, I'm shooting with a 5D Mark III, and I still have my really old Rebel T2i. this crop sensor. I use it a lot shooting for Hillary Clinton because usually she doesn't really give out buffer passes, and so you're pretty far away. So like I just put like my 24-105 on it, and I can shoot pretty up close, and the pictures come out all right. I'm really looking into getting just a video-only camera because I was shooting video of all the stuff I was doing out in California along with shooting photos, and my videos seemed to get a lot more attention than my photos did. And I mean, early on, especially in Ferguson, I learned how to shoot video and stills at the same time. So I've been using that ever since to shoot one camera doing one thing in one hand and one camera doing something in another one.
I like you have to specify that it's a video-only camera, where in the past we would just say a video camera.
Just something with like a bigger sensor, like something I could use like a C300 maybe. I don't know, something with like one of those 1-inch sensors. I could do like cinema stuff, or I could do photojournalism stuff. Just put a different rig on it and have it do different stuff.
The big problem, and because I've done both. The big thing that you actually want though is you want focus through zoom, and none of the Canons. I'm sorry, I know they automatically supposedly do autofocus through the zoom. It doesn't work that well. It's like the lag time. Like I can usually beat the manual focus to their autofocus. Maybe Marcus DePola has a C100 that has it's the Mark II that he claims it works really well. But I would recommend there's a couple different 4K. I think it's a JVC. It's small. It's like this big, and it shoots 4K, and it has the biggest thing you want with video is XLR inputs, so you can have decent audio. So I mean, like I would just pick up one of those versus anything else, because again, your entire output to this is the internet. So this is why, like, I mean, I get why you're shooting 4K, because that's what people want, and it has the right MBS rates or whatever, MB or whatever thing is. But you know what? NBC just bought a clip for me using my D600, which has a relatively low video rate to what they want. And same thing with RT. Just bought a Donald Trump speech that I did, and it's fine. I mean, if you have the 4K, you shoot at 1080p on a video camera, you'll be fine. Just buy a decent one. Just buy a $1,200 one. Don't buy one of these crazy ass things unless that's what you're gonna do. Then buy that, and then go into video production, and don't, then you'll be able to shoot weddings, and you'll be able to shoot all these low light situations. It'll be great. But unless you want to really, spend money and time and effort onto it, the Canons, believe me, I almost switched completely, dropped Nikon and went to Canon when I found out about the C100s that came out, and then I got to use one, and I hated it. So that's my 1 minute response on that. So.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this camera, it's a beautiful piece of machinery, but it's unrealistic that I or probably anyone in our field would use this at this point. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see this tech get shrunk down and ported over different cameras and stuff like that. A lot of people say, oh, the megapixels don't matter, but I tell you, if you get more megapixels, you're not turning that down. There's just more material to work with.
I'm sure.
But anyways, that is. Oh my gosh! If you didn't read my post on Facebook, I think we should change the word photoshopping to McCurrying.
Wow.
Any photo manipulation, just call it McCurrying.
Yeah.
Hey, let's McCurry that light pole out of that shot. Let's McCurry that one guy in the rickshaw. I don't like the way he's looking at the camera. Hey, let's re-McCurry this whole scene, okay, guys? Let's start from one, okay? Just any photo manipulation or setting up a scene, just call it McCurrying.
Let's get that hashtag trending, guys. Come on, okay?
Okay. Hashtag McCurrying. All right. Well, that's our show for this week. Wow, it really flew by, guys. This was really great. Again, we're going to talk about it. The drone attack, yes. So if you want to hear the drone we're going to talk about that in our bonus topic. Go over to Patreon, throw us a dime, actually $1, and you can listen to that and watch that. But before we sign off on this week's show, guys, what was your eye catcher this week? Daniel, you go first.
Mine was an article from the Village Voice. It was called, it has a really long headline, A New Generation of Steely-Gazed Anarcho-Communists Head Off to Syria, A Hello to Arms. And it's about these two guys in New York that decide they want to embed themselves with the YPG militia in Kurdistan, in Syrian Kurdistan. One of them wants to be a photojournalist and fight alongside them. And it's like a really long story. Things don't really go that great for them. Well, one of them. And yeah, it was just really, really interesting. I think everyone should check it out. Talks a lot about understanding some politics that isn't normal mainstream, and just talks about like how even freelancers would have to go through all these hoops to get into certain areas of the world that aren't very safe right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I don't know any photojournalists who'd want to travel anywhere right now into a dangerous area, especially with the recent death of a longtime photojournalist. Blanking on his name. Zach, you know who I'm talking about? Afghanistan?
Yeah, David Gilkey.
Yes. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so good to see, obviously, any work from a danger zone. How about you, Matt? What's your pick, or what's your eye catcher this week?
It's a blog. It's called The Hidden South. I'm not sure if either one of you all have heard of The Hidden South, but basically it's a photographer that's here in Georgia. He travels all over the United States, not just here, but he travels all over the place, and he profiles different individuals he comes in contact with that are impoverished. And he's been doing it for quite a while, probably, I want to say at least about 3 or 4 years. But it's a spot that I usually go to, every quarter, what have you, to see what he's been up to. And I thought that it would be pretty fitting to throw that out there because, a lot of times you just don't hear a lot about people who are impoverished, and to see a photographer that's just, making it that's what he does. It's just travels and travels and travels to photograph the impoverished. I think that, deserves a few plaudits.
Okay, great, thank you. Zach, what do you got for us this week?
First, I want to say I agree with both of you. First, Daniel, that's a friend of mine, John Neffel's article. I'm very happy that he's got the Village Voice cover. And Matthew, I agree with you. I've seen this photographer's work before, and the best way to explain it, it's Humans of New York, but interesting. Sorry, I have a huge problem with Humans in New York. It's just like, hashtag. It's basically hashtag white people's problems, because it's like rich New York City people like talking about whatever. But anyway, mine is actually Entertainment Weekly article. Actually, I switched it at the last second. And Tom Hardy is going to play war photojournalist Don McCullen. It's not that I like Tom Hardy. I think he's a great actor. I love most of the roles he's done. It's not even Don McCullen. It's the fact that we're having a photojournalist film, and I love movies about photojournalists, because most of the times we see photojournalists portrayed on television, they're photojournalists. They're assholes. They're the people that they're paparazzi and they're chasing after somebody. They're sneaking in through people's windows or whatever. They're never the hero of the film. They're never the nice person. I mean, you think of every great journalist film. I mean, All the President's Men. You think Spotlight. All these. No photojournalists to be found in these films. So I'm hoping that this one will actually give some gravitas to the role of the photojournalist, that we're not just yet another sad case of unemployed losers or something.
You could always watch City of God or the James Wood Salvador El Salvador movie.
The problem is that James Woods is such an old He actually retweeted and called me that before. So because he's a right-wing nutcase. He's a beyond a Donald Trump supporter. So I used to love that film, but it's been kind of ruined by what a complete and total whatever he is.
Yeah, I love City of God. That was a great film.
Fantastic film.
My eye catcher this week is actually about one of the photographers we lost, which we mentioned actually on the AroundTheLens.com Facebook page. Let me see if I can pull up the article. Yes, legendary fashion photographer Bill Cunningham dies at 87. So he was 4 decades of work. Died in New York on Saturday of a stroke. He was 87 years old. So again, great photographer, a legend in the industry. Sad to see him go. He produced a lot of good work, but had a good life. 87 is a pretty good age to live up to, and he did it. Looks like he did his job up until the last couple of days there. So hopefully we can all have our careers last that long and get to continue to produce work, up to the very last day, I guess. But yeah, sad to see another icon go. Well, that's our show this week, guys. Where can people learn more about you, Daniel?
You can look me up on danielshular.com. You can follow me on Instagram, ForceXQuit. I might change that since it's so hard to find. Twitter, you can search my name, or my handle is xshularx. Find me on Facebook under my name. And I'm also working with a nonprofit group called Chronicle Ferguson, and we're making educational picture books of current events, and we have some news coming up soon. But if anyone was in Ferguson and wants to give us some pictures to use for our educational stuff, I know even I'm apprehensive about giving stuff away, but this is our trying to give something back to the community sort of thing. We're just going to put out a book and some educational resources for teachers and just donate it to all the schools in St. Louis, all the libraries, and then people can buy the book afterwards.
Yeah.
And
cool.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Daniel, I was going to tell you, you've got a pretty good following on Instagram. It might be better for you to just change your legal name to ForceXQuit. I think that'd probably be better than having to start over with your followers. Just an idea. Matt, where can people get to know more about you?
They can find me on Facebook, Matt Odom Photography. You can find me on Instagram, Matt Odom Photo, and my website, mattodomphotography.com.
Okay, great. Zach,
and
where to find you?
Obviously, I'm right here, so you can find me here. I'm at AroundTheLens.com, of course. You can see work, posts, or whatever that I do. And but for photos and stuff like that, zdroberts.com, zdroberts on Twitter, zdroberts on Instagram.
And you can find me at djmphoto.com and all things djmphoto, or aroundthelens.com. As you can see, I'm the real host.
I just noticed that.
To put host in his lower third because one of the weeks he had a lower third and I didn't have a lower third. So he used that against me to claim himself as host. No way, taking that back. I'm taking it back. All right, well, this has been our show. I want to thank our guests, Matt and Daniel, for taking time out to be a part of it. I truly appreciate your guys' time. For Zach Roberts, I am David J. Murphy. This has been Around the Lens, and we are out.